The world we live in is but a narrow slice. In its wide and varied magnificence, it is easy to forget that what we see of the natural world now is merely a small snapshot in time, brilliant yet microscopic compared to the billions of species that have lived and died on this planet over the eons. In the distant past, creatures such as the wyvern rex or the iglaibis wandered the lands, but now only fossils remain. The pursuit of knowledge is thus also a race against time, to catalog and understand the monsters that roam our world before they vanish into the veil of history. This is precisely why any opportunity to study extinct species, or those that are believed to be extinct anyways, is such an invaluable opportunity for the Royal Academy and the Hunters Guild. Shortly after the guild began operating in the deserted island region, one such opportunity arose, albeit not from where they expected. Near the lonesome volcano, there lived a tribe known as the Fire Country. While it was an odd community, it had helped the Hunters Guild with monster investigations in the past, and enjoyed pleasant, if distant, diplomatic relations with it. But a report from the Fire Country tribe reignited the guild's interest in the region. In the oral folklore of the Fire People, their ancestors had been beset by a creature simply called a flame pike wyvern, whose breath was magma and whose body was obsidian. Tales told of the ancestral Fire People fighting back against these monsters, until one day, the last of its kind had been slain. In the modern era, the Fire People only knew of this beast's existence through its lesser cousins, the pike beasts, which roam the volcano to this day and offer the tribesmen a miniature glimpse at the wyvern their forefathers battled. Such was the folklore of the Fire Country, until a monster matching that description was spotted in the lonesome volcano. The Fire Country thus requested the help of the Hunters Guild, which had never had the opportunity to study this species before. Eagerly, the guild sent a detachment into the lonesome volcano, and, using their resources and advanced tracking methods, were able to quickly sight the monster in question. The flame pike wyvern was actually a magmatic leviathan, and was given the name Agnaktor. This volcano dweller displays the characteristic leviathan body type, sporting a long body and tail, propped up by 4 limbs that are held to the side of the body. Its red armor shell tapers into a massive dorsal sail on the back and a small ventral sail on the body's underside. A peculiar feature of the Agnaktor is its light-colored beak, which is not found in any other leviathan species. Like most leviathans, the Agnaktor is adapted to swimming through a specific medium. But while the guild had encountered leviathans that used water or sand, this species stood out for the fact that its medium of choice was lava and solid rock. The Agnaktor is capable of diving headfirst into even the hard bedrock of the volcano, and appears to swim through it with significant ease. This surpasses even the burrowing skills seen in species such as Diablos or Monoblos, which dig through comparatively soft desert sand. The guild and the academy thus first set their sights on unraveling this specific mystery of the Agnaktor's ecology. Luckily, the secret behind the Agnaktor's rock burrowing could be easily discovered by just observing the way it actually penetrates the ground. While other burrowers use their claws to displace soil, the Agnaktor rams its beak into the ground to create an initial crack. The Leviathan then performs drill-like motions enabled by its flexible spine, and spirals into the rock with minimal effort. While it has not been observed, it is assumed that this drill motion continues underground. The key adaptation that enables it is, of course, the beak. Collected samples have consistently highlighted the immense toughness of this structure, which makes it an excellent tool for breaking bedrock. It specifically seems to have evolved to maximize the amount of force that can be concentrated onto a singular point, the very tip of the beak. While some researchers interpreted this initially as an obvious adaptation to the rock burrowing behavior, more recent findings have proposed that the beak actually evolved these features for feeding purposes. Many monsters that live near volcanoes have tough armor shells to protect against heat and magma. So it is believed that the Agnaktor's beak initially developed as a way to crack those defenses, and that the rock burrowing ability emerged later as an additional application of the beak. This, however, still left the question of how the Agnaktor could swim through lava. Other monsters that can stay submerged in volcanoes, such as the Gravios, display thick and heavy suits of shell armor, which are absent in the Agnaktor. It turns out that while the red shell of an Agnaktor is quite heat-resistant by itself, the slender Leviathan has a trick up its sleeve. The gaps between its scales secrete a unique body fluid that coats the body almost entirely. This fluid appears to completely isolate the surface of the body from the heat of the magma, serving as a vital buffer layer between the two. Using this, the Agnaktor can stay submerged in lava without needing the kinds of protections other species employ. This insulating fluid is not exclusive to its shell either. There are signs that certain parts of the esophagus and digestive tract might also utilize this protective coat. Endowed with superior mobility through rock and magma, the Agnaktor freely patrols its volcanic habitats in search of food. It mostly preys on armored herbivores such as rhinoplos, digging into their armored hides with the same drill-like motions that it uses for burrowing. As a result, Agnaktor leave behind extremely distinct predation marks. Being a large Leviathan monster, the Agnaktor has little to fear. But the volcano is a tough turf, and battles between large monsters are not uncommon. So despite its size, an Agnaktor must be ready to defend itself against an encroaching uragan or the like. While the Leviathan can attack with its tail fin and strike enemies with its beak, the Agnaktor species also possesses two specific adaptations that allow it to combine an impressive defense with an extremely destructive offense. Across various areas of its body, including the shell on its back, its beak, and its limbs, the Agnaktor possesses specialized grooves and protrusions. These features only come into play once the Leviathan emerges from the lava. They are designed to catch and scoop up chunks of magma and molten rock as the monster makes landfall. The insulating fluid then serves as an adhesive, forcing the magma to stick to the Agnaktor's body. Initially, this does little more than give the Leviathan a fiery appearance. But as the lava cools, it turns into hard magmatic rock and remains attached to the body, forming an extremely hard layer of protective armor. While this armor is shed the next time the monster burrows, this strategy still allows the Agnaktor to deflect powerful attacks from other monsters. This defense is coupled with an extremely destructive and devastating ability. While the Agnaktor swims through lava, it swallows molten rock and stores it in a specialized organ called a scalding pleura. This material can later be heated by the pleura and spat out from the mouth as a powerful beam of lava, not unlike the kinds of attacks seen in the Gravios species. Needless to say that a direct hit from this ability will kill essentially anything. The main downside of the Agnaktor's lava beam is that it needs to be charged up by swallowing molten rock, which does not give it the ability to fire it in quick succession. But then again, a second shot is rarely necessary. While this is a terrifying ability, it might not actually be the primary function of the organ. It has been found that the pleura also filters certain ores out of the molten rock and uses them to reinforce the armor plate on the chest of the Agnaktor, raising questions as to if this may have been the original purpose of the pleura or if it is a side effect of the lava beam. Overall, research concluded over and over again that the Agnaktor is a powerful, ecologically dominant species that is perfectly adapted to the volcanic regions it inhabits. So why did it go extinct? And how did it re-emerge? It would be some time before observations of social behavior in Agnaktor revealed the answers. Or rather, exposed how misguided the question was in the first place. While Agnaktor are usually solitary, they seek each other out during the breeding season. In a truly magnificent courtship behavior, males and females race to the top of the volcano, where the mating will occur. In order to climb, however, the Agnaktor must not just burrow through the ground, but also learn how to leap out of the ground and seamlessly burrow into the cave ceilings to keep ascending through the various layers of the mountain. The ability to burrow into ceilings is in fact one of the most striking ways to determine if an Agnaktor has already mated. Unlike many monsters, Agnaktor give birth to live young, because their eggs hatch while still in their mother's womb. An Agnaktor clutch consists of 20 to 30 small leviathans that are about 50 centimeters long each at the time of birth. And it was this observation of these young that finally shed light on the species' seeming absence. The pike beasts that the Fire Country had described as lesser descendants of the Agnaktor were, in fact, these juveniles, named Uroktor by the guild. Uroktor somewhat resemble adult Agnaktor, but have notably less developed beaks and shells, and are of course much smaller. They can be found all across volcanic regions, but have been noted to stick to adult Agnaktor if one is in the area. The shell armor and fluid secretions of these juveniles are underdeveloped and thus do not allow them to spend much time in lava. And while Uroktor can burrow into rock, they tend to emerge very quickly and do not go deep. Their pleuras are equally immature, only being able to expel small flame balls at most, a far cry from the powerful beams seen in adults. All in all, Uroktor are much less threatening than adult individuals, and as such are mostly scavengers. While they can fell smaller Rhenoplos, and have sometimes been seen shooting Bnahabra out of the air with their flame balls, they generally survive by picking corpses clean, including the ones left behind by adult Agnaktor. Another notable fact about Uroktor is that they have an extremely low life expectancy. Of a clutch of 30, only a handful will survive the long process into adulthood. And it is this observation that finally explained the Agnaktor's seeming extinction. It is now known that Agnaktor never actually went extinct, as evidenced by the ample reports of Uroktor being seen by natives over the years. Instead, adult Agnaktor are simply so rare and require so much time to mature that the Fire Country simply stopped sighting them after their early clashes with the species, with populations only recently recovering. That being said, adult Agnaktor remain a very rare sight due to the high infant mortality. In the years since the initial reports, Agnaktor have continued to be fairly elusive. While they have since been found in a handful of other locations, such as the volcanic hollow, sightings are often isolated and sporadic. Uroktor, however, are much more prolific, being found in a wide variety of volcanic regions and thus implying that those too house unseen Agnaktor. One sighting that truly puzzled the Academy, however, came not from any volcano, but from the tundra. In an unbelievable report, a patrol described seeing an ice-clad Agnaktor roaming the frozen plains. An incredulous guild envoy was sent to investigate the matter and, to everyone's surprise, confirmed the existence of this creature. Rapidly, the guild assembled a proper research team and soon sighted the monster, describing it as a subspecies of Agnaktor called Glacial Agnaktor. These monsters resemble volcanic Agnaktor in every way except the coloration. Glacial Agnaktor have icy blue and white shells, and generally display colors that help them blend into their frozen habitat. It was also noted during this first sighting that they are quite a bit smaller in size than the previously discovered species. As Glacial Agnaktor are even rarer than the volcanic species, virtually nothing is known about them. All insights are derived from the precious few sightings the guild made around its initial discovery. The dermal fluid that insulated volcanic Agnaktor from lava was found to have been modified in the Glacial Agnaktor to serve as ice nucleators that promote the formation of thick layers of ice. Consequently, the body is constantly covered in a transparent but highly resistant layer of ice. The beak appears to be unchanged and even serves the same purpose as in the volcanic species, allowing the Glacial Agnaktor to burrow into frozen soil and permafrost. By comparison, the pleura has been changed quite significantly, so much so that the guild opted to give it a separate name, Dewy Pleura. It still appears to take in material the monster swallows while burrowing, concentrating them into a cold, watery liquid that the Glacial Agnaktor can fire from its mouth like a water jet. And that is already where confirmed knowledge about the Glacial Agnaktor ends. How exactly it relates to the volcanic species is entirely unknown, and many oddities about it remain. Chief among them is the fact that no glacial Uroktor have ever been found, raising questions about how this subspecies breeds and grows. And considering that there have not been any sightings of Glacial Agnaktor in many years, it is questionable if the guild will ever be able to unravel its mysteries. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you had fun today. I would like to especially thank all of my patrons and YouTube channel members who support this channel and allow me to make videos like these. A very special thank you to Admiral Frost, Alistair in Wonderland, Anjanath Tamer's Ambience, Artur Centeno, Autumns, Bö, Bruggy, British Empire, Chocolate Coat, Christopher Bronson, Claire Miboon, Dragonlord, Dissy, Feopuz, Habbo Himbro Mirror, Harper, Hashi, Hellbug Hunter, Inepts, Iron Camel, Jacob Coleman, Jacob the Numbnut, Joey Tribby 58, Magenta Magenta, Uriv, Carl the Crab, Kelly Barnett, Kogath, Lexagus, Liefadienst, Lufish, Lucana, Small Chaos, M1 Have One Too, Makamawi, Makot02, Matt Hat 124, Meta Defiance, Mr. Pyramid, Molly Mockery, Morgul Blank, Mr. Gayballs, My Name Gone, Nils Schlatter, Noah Schantz, Oakwood Tree, Person 212, Precum King, Puke Puke Supremacy, Punonym, Quali, Rambling Robin, Raspberry, Regal Eagle, Resident Neko Arc, Wronger 97, Rose, Ryan Hook, Skiba, Shebo, Sir Newt Newt, Soruka, Suddenly, Cacti-Wolf, The Dollarfish, Thick, Phyla Zero, Uthduna is an Octopus, Veraxus, Vulgar Beast, Wandering Soul, Zafi, Zion H.V. Augenson, Zyperius Folkvar, Kuroneko, and Nah, I'm going to bed. Take care, everyone. See you next time. Bye-bye.